First, let's talk about an important development in North Block, where a meeting to discuss the cross-border action in Myanmar has just ended. Now, the meeting was being chaired by Home Minister Rajnath Singh, and those attending included the Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar, the RAW and IB chiefs, as well as NSA Ajit Doval. Also in the meeting were Home Secretary, Junior Home Minister Kiran Rijiju, and the Vice Army Chief. Kamaljeet Sandhu, my colleague, in fact, who tracks Home Ministry developments, is now on the phone line. What details are emerging out of that meeting, Kamal? When are we expecting, in fact, NSA Ajit Doval also to be heading out to Yangon?
Well, at this point of time, the NSA seemed very tight-lipped. We did try and speak to him, but he was obviously not speaking. But yes, what we're hearing from our sources is that he's likely to hit on Monday. But definitely the sort of border action team we've seen across in Myanmar, especially action against the northeastern insurgent groups. This is something that the Home Ministry has taken very seriously, and we've seen a series of meetings happening with Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar making it all the way to the North Block, along with his team of officers. We've seen senior level officers being sent, and obviously top ministers, including the MO-SPMO, who's been rushed to Manipur.
Right.
This is something that the Ministry of Home Affairs, as well as the government of India, wants to take very, very seriously. Now, the northeastern insurgency has been a huge challenge, but the biggest attack in 20 years was an eye-opener as far as the government is concerned.
Yes.
And yes, they've given a green signal to the forces to really go out. But remember, it is the neighbors who also need to be kept on a good, in good terms, and that is how this entire equation is now working.
Kamal, in fact, since you mentioned about the neighbors, and keeping in mind, in fact, that Myanmar has now said that India had only conducted operations on its own part of the soil, how is the Indian security system responding to it off camera?
Well, Smita, at this point of time, this is obviously a huge embarrassment. They go ahead and announce. In fact, even the Defence Minister said that, yes, as far as action is concerned by the Indian Army, this has obviously made neighbors notice their own action, perhaps also hinting at the action in Pakistan. But definitely, this is something that India could have fairly avoided.
Yes.
But yes, at this point of time, the action is more not just towards rhetoric, but also on the ground action. Now, the area near Manipur in Myanmar is just 2 hours away from Chandel, where the entire incident happened. Is also a grey area. The Burmese army, the Indian army have always stayed away from that particular area. This has been a free area where the militants have a free run. They go inside and outside that particular area in a free way. So this is something that they wanted to really plug the hole in that sense. But yes, this is also diplomatically needed to be handled, and this is something that they would want to keep in mind.
Keeping in mind that only after much years of negotiations that India and Myanmar really sign on, in fact, that agreement first in 2003 and then, of course, in 2010, that agreement. But the clauses also say that the two armies and, of course, the two security systems need to keep each other in the loop as far as that counter-insurgency operations are concerned. Thanks so much, Kamaljeet Sandhu, for getting us up to date with whatever is happening in North Block, where that crucial meeting just ended, which was being chaired by Home Minister Rajnath Singh. The daring surgical operation to eliminate northeast militant groups in Myanmar, though, reflects a changing approach in India's counter-insurgency plan. Hot pursuit also marks a new chapter in Indian Army's operational prowess. But what actually transpired during one of the most hush-hush operations that the Army has conducted? Here is an India Today exclusive on the Inside Track.
Northeast militant groups butchered 18 army men in Manipur's Chandel on the 4th of this month. Sir. Just hours later, India's top security establishment took a decision that has reshaped the country's counter-insurgency response for all time to come. An emergency meeting attended by Home Minister, Defence Minister, National Security Advisor and the Chief of Army Staff decided to avenge the killings. The radical response was to strike deep inside Myanmar to crush rebel strongholds in India's first ever hot pursuit. Sources privy to the Inside Track say the army chief was reluctant to carry out an immediate strike at such short notice. A decision was then taken to carry out a surgical strike on Monday. The army was entrusted with immediate groundwork. The security brass explored an airstrike using Sukhoi or MiG-29 fighters, along with a ground strike by special forces. But fears of high collateral damage put paid to plans of an airstrike. As the Prime Minister was away in Bangladesh, the operation was delayed by another day to get his clearance. Finally, at around 3 o'clock on Tuesday morning, the 21 Para Special Forces commandos were airdropped deep inside Myanmar. The planned strike with surgical precision eliminated dozens of Naga NSCNK and Meitei insurgent group KYKL militants and destroyed their 2 camps. The entire operation was backed by an Indian Air Force Mi-17 helicopter. All special forces returned safely, with no one suffering even an injury.
Sharp response, meticulous planning and a detailed blueprint backed by none other than the top leadership of the country made the army pull off a daring raid against northeast insurgents in Myanmar. A first of its kind, India sent a signal to not only its own people but also to its western neighbor that there is absolutely zero tolerance to terrorism. With camera person Manish Dubey, this is Mosmi Singh in Delhi for India Today.